1232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome along to Patrick Christys Tonight, late edition, and breaking right now. President Trump has gone to war with the BBC. Yes, it's the end of our national broadcaster. The White House has called the BBC, quote, leftist propaganda and fake news. It's made it onto the front page of the Daily Telegraph. We are going to have the inside scoop on this. Why? Because here on GB News, we've been to the White House and we've got some news for you. But here's some home truths, which sadly will not make the fake news.
Look what's happened to Europe with the immigration. They have people flooding Europe all over the place, and it's hurting it. It's the crime rates are way up. A lot of bad things are happening.
Well, there we go. Watch this space. And... the latest in clown world politics is Labour MPs are now plotting to oust Sir Keir Starmer. It's made the front of the newspaper. Tell you what, there's some really good breaking news around tonight, isn't there? Anger is growing now around income tax rises. Is Labour on track to make their biggest mistake? Yeah, get that then. They are plotting to oust Starmer. It's out in the open. And if you're a pensioner, well, you're not quite off the hook. Rumours now of an upcoming retirement savings tax rate. I'm very sorry that I have to be the one to break that news to you because I think it's disgusting. But yeah, a retirement savings tax rate. We will have all the details for you, but don't worry, because there's always a bit of money for this, isn't there?
So the UK is doubling down on the fight against climate change.
And I'm going to be hearing firsthand, we are all going to be hearing firsthand, what the mood was like at that Aston Villa Maccabi Tel Aviv protest last night, because you'll find out why in a second, but we had scenes like this.
Every match that the barbaric Israeli establishment or their teams are at, we will be at. Takbir! Allahu Akbar! Takbir! Allahu Akbar!
Joining us this evening is another very special guest, actually. It's GB News presenter Josh Howie. We've also got journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee and political commentator, trade unionist Andy 12. So, loads to go at tonight. Huge developing news on the front pages. Let's get those headlines first, though.
Patrick, thank you. The top stories. The White House has accused the BBC of purposeful dishonesty amid a row over bias at the broadcaster. It launched its attack over the way the corporation selectively edited a speech made by the president, dismissing it as 100% fake news. British taxpayers were being forced to foot the bill for a, quote, leftist propaganda machine. According to Caroline Levitt, as Mr Trump's press secretary, she delivered the verdict after the Telegraph disclosed that a Panorama documentary had spliced together different parts of a speech by Mr Trump and made it seem as though he'd told supporters to go to the Capitol and fight like hell on the day of the 2021 riot. A foreign sex offender freed in error from Wandsworth prison has been rearrested. Brahim Kadour Sharif, a 24-year-old Algerian national, was mistakenly released from HMP Wandsworth in South London on the 29th of October. Brahim Kadour Sharif had been convicted in November last year of indecent exposure relating to an incident in March of that year. ITV News says there are reportedly currently 4 more live cases of prisoners being sought by the authorities in England and Wales after being released in error. Deputy Prime Minister David Lammy has admitted there's a mountain to climb to tackle the crisis in the prison system. Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch told GB News she's not confident the streets are safe.
Yes, it's complete nonsense. They blame everybody else except themselves. They are in charge right now. If someone was released last week by accident, it's their fault. It's not the fault of the people who were there 2 years ago. And right now, what I actually want to see is this man deported. We're spending too much money keeping foreign prisoners in our jails. Our party's policy now is just deport all foreign criminals. No ifs, no buts.
Rachel Reeves has reportedly informed the spending watchdog that she intends to raise income tax. That's as splits are emerging at the top of Labour over whether to raise taxes as pressure grows ahead of the budget later this month. Deputy Leader Lucy Powell has warned that breaking Labour's manifesto pledge not to increase income tax, national insurance or VAT could damage trust in politics. And TV football pundit Eni Aluko says she's glad that justice has been served after former footballer Joey Barton was convicted of sending grossly offensive social media posts. Barton's found guilty of 6 counts of sending the post directed at broadcaster Jeremy Vine and television pundits Lucy Ward and Eni Aluko. Jurors accepted the prosecution's argument that Barton had crossed the line between free speech and a crime on 6 counts. Barton's bail conditions prohibit him from mentioning the 3 victims in any way before he is sentenced. And those are the latest GB News headlines. For now, it's over to Patrick.
Take the GB News family with you on any device. As long as you have an internet connection, tune into GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond.
Well, I'll tell you what, there really is an absolute bumper display on the front pages here. These are Saturday's front pages. Loads of brand new stories on there. President Trump has gone to war with the BBC. The detail are that the White House has openly called the BBC a leftist propaganda machine, editing of his speech. They've gone studs up on the Beeb. So we'll return to that in a second. Some of the other ones, I mean, get this, the weekend. Labour MPs are now openly plotting to oust Sir Keir Starmer. They've got anger as Number 10's plans to raise income tax, and just more generally, by the way. Apparently, there's an intake of Labour's newest MPs, which is quite a large number of them, actually, because of the amount of seats they won. They met in a private Commons bar called the Smoking Room and met to openly discuss how they could oust Keir Starmer. I mean, I think that's a huge story, really is. So we're 2 off the bat there. The Times, Reeves is to announce a retirement savings raid, and I'm very sorry to a lot of you viewers and listeners that this is probably the first you're hearing of this on the front pages, and it's coming out of my mouth, but Rachel Reeves will announce a stealth tax raid on your retirement savings, a move that experts said would reduce take-home pay and cut the size of people's pensions pots. Again, it's a huge story. We will get to it. I think it's also an absolute disgrace for what that's worth. But The Sun, they've gone for royal dodge. Sarah avoids disgraced ex. So Prince Andrew is holed up in the mansion, quotes, ranting to himself. Apparently, Sarah Ferguson is hiding away in a secret garden bar called the Doghouse. Interesting. So they are living separate lives in royal... I mean, it's comical, isn't it?
It's a bit on the nose.
It is. Oh, man.
How is that a lodge? That's a huge...
Yeah.
That's a massive... I was expecting the whole time he's been fighting for this lodge, and you think it's like a little sort of 4-bedroom thing. This is huge.
It's a mansion.
It's like
30 bedrooms,
isn't it? Yeah. How many bedrooms?
32, actually.
Well, that's a lot of young ladies.
It is. It is. It was. Anyway,
I mean, I'm talking about his kids.
Yeah, oh, no.
Yeah.
Of course. Just...
Well, was it? It was rumoured last week. Was it 40 prostitutes in Thailand? So they'd have to double up actually if they ever came to Royal Lodge. So,
yeah,
sad.
I mean, he might have denied his allegations. I don't know. But anyway, The Independent.
He's given up at this point.
Yeah, the cruelest aid cut of all. UK puts 250,000 lives at risk. Keir Starmer is going to slash £150 million from life-saving foreign aid funding for the worldwide fight against HIV, TB and malaria. Well, look, I just want to make one thing very clear now. Obviously, I'm very sorry for anyone anywhere in the world who is indeed suffering from HIV, tuberculosis or malaria. However, given the fact that on one of the other front pages is that Rachel Reeves is about to clobber our own pensioners, and we're all going to be poorer, I think the foreign aid budget can be scrapped. Let's go to the Daily Mail. Final one for us here. Social media trolls feud delusions of Polish Maddie. It's a Madeleine McCann story, again, on the front pages. We are many, many years on from this now. But, yeah, they think it's big news. OK, fine. An army of online conspiracy theorists fuelled a Polish woman's harassment of Madeleine McCann's parents. She's been found guilty. Basically, the story is a random Polish woman said that she was Maddie McCann and then harangued the parents over it. Right, first things first, let's do Trump at war with the BBC. Now, over the course of this, I'm going to smatter in some clips for you, but basically, the BBC doctored a clip, as we all know, of President Trump. They spliced it something like 50 minutes apart, and it made it sound like he was essentially ordering people to go to the go to the Capitol Hill with rifles and do all sorts of stuff. So the White House has accused the BBC of selectively editing. They've called them 100% fake news. They've also slammed the fact, Josh, that taxpayers are, quotes, forced to foot the bill for a leftist propaganda machine.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, I've been boycotting the BBC for about the last year or so, daring them to take me to court because, frankly, they've just been pumping out Hamas propaganda, Jew hate. We've seen where that led. We see it led to 2 dead Jews in Manchester. But it's a bigger scope than that because it's also the trans issue and it's also Trump. And he's calling out, he's called them out before. Boris Johnson has come out and said, I'm not paying my licence fee anymore until Ed Davey basically gives some explanation. There is no explanation. And the damning thing is not just the situation of the fact that we pay for this and we've basically been paying for propaganda across a bunch of topics, but the damning thing is that they knew about it. Yeah. The executives knew about it. This is what the point of this report is. He went to them, he said, look, you guys are messing up here, sort it out. We work in a news office. People make mistakes. There's young people around, there's all different ideologies. Mistakes happen.
I make mistakes all the time.
All the time. Like more than most people. I mean, but the point is you own up to them. But the BBC never does. Why? Because they mark their own homework and because they are full of hubris and arrogance. And that is why. And that is what they should be condemned for just as much as their propaganda.
Yes. Can I just give you a longer quote and then we'll go to Linda? So we'll get more detail on this quote now from the White House spokeswoman, Caroline Levitt, about the BBC. I'll read it to you. She says... This purposefully, dishonestly, selectively edited clip by the BBC is further evidence that they are total 100% fake news that should no longer be worth the time on the television screens of the great people of the United Kingdom. Every time I travel to the United Kingdom with President Trump and I'm forced to watch the BBC in our hotel rooms, it ruins my day listening to their blatant propaganda and lies about the President of the United States and all that he's doing to make America better and the world a safer place. She stopped short of demanding that a total end to the licence fee. She said that's a policy decision, and I'll leave that to the president. Yeah, I'll have a look, see if there's any more quotes here, but yeah, they're investigating it. I mean, she's angry. So's the president. Linda.
So I think the most telling thing is the edit. It's the clip. And that's because it must be deliberate, and that's why she's used this word purposeful.
Yep.
So I've been in edit suites all over the place where you have to edit stuff together. And you've got to be very, very careful that what you extract does not mean that you join it together and it gives a false impression. And it can do that sometimes. Yeah. I've made that mistake, other people have made that mistake, but many others. But this is a very, very deliberate thing to have done. I've never heard of an edit like this before. No. I mean, never.
No. Let's watch it. I know that many people, you'll have seen it probably, but for the sake of it...
We love this clip.
Let's play it again. Let's play it again. Yeah.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, and we fight. We fight like hell. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
Yeah, they've reminded me of another quote, actually, here. This was back in June. The White House said, unfortunately, unlike some in the media, we don't take the word of Hamas as total truth. We actually look into what it is when they speak, unlike the BBC. This is pretty big. You know, the actual president of the United States, the whole White House administration, launching open warfare on the Beeb here. It's pretty serious stuff.
I think it's sort of the pot calling the kettle black here, to be honest with you. I mean, the BBC are probably wrong. I haven't actually managed to read the full report. I've seen the reports of the report, and it looks bad. It looks like malpractice. Not more malpractice is a strong word. They look like they're in the wrong. They're in the wrong. Yeah. They're in the wrong. But, you know, when you look at the Trump White House, specifically this one rather than the 2016 one, you know, they are expelling journalists from the Pentagon because they won't fulfill their propaganda rules. They banned the Associated Press, a properly independent news wire, because they refused to use the terminology of the Gulf of America instead of the Gulf of Mexico. This is a president that claimed, and still claims to this day, to be clear, that he won the 2020 election. I don't think this is a man that cares about news being reliable or honesty. He's arrogant, and he's probably quite rightly annoyed on this, but he's not an authority on news or any kind of moral judgment.
Well, it's like, look, two wrongs don't make a right. There's truth to what you're saying, but the point is, she might say, oh, well, I'm sick of having to watch the BBC. She's not the one who has to pay for it. We are. That is...
I think if watching the BBC is what ruins your day, I would be shocked that the White House press secretary does not have bigger issues to deal with.
Also, we know they only watch GBNews when they're here as well.
Well, they do, actually. And I need to say, because after me, this show is The Late Show Live, which is obviously in Washington, and I know that we have gone to the White House for a statement. Hoping I might have an update on that for you shortly, but do make sure that, you know, this is one of, if not the biggest story on the front pages here. And we will have the inside track to it, because let's be honest, they're not going to the Beeb, are they? At the White
I thought it was interesting, that second quote that you said.
Yeah.
This is not down to me to decide. That's a policy decision for the president. I do not think the president has any sway over whether or not the licence fee in Britain gets abolished. I think it's just pure arrogance and bizarre.
No, I agree with that. But what is going to happen? Is there actually going to be any accountability finally?
So on that, Tim Davey. Now this guy is the Director General. He's been under the cosh for over various different things. We've had the Bob Villan thing recently, with, you know, death to the RDF and all of that stuff at Glastonbury beamed out. Turns out he was there. We've had the fact that they appear to have now got a gender correspondent that's been censoring anything that was anti-trans. The Hamas lies, all of this stuff with Trump.
Can I say it wasn't anti-trans at all, just pro-women, and there's a difference.
You're right.
Yeah.
No, you're right, actually. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, no, it's right to pick me up on that. Yeah, basically anything that was what would you say, gender critical?
Yeah, gender critical, that challenged the ideology that they were pushing forward for the last 5-10 years on the channel.
Yeah, I mean, basically, if you're someone who looked at a drag queen story time and thought, I'm not sure I'm all right with that, the BBC wouldn't have had you on. So
no, exactly. But, you know, but there's like, they would just pump out story after story about the drag queen story out. Like, every single story. If you look at, someone's collated it all, and it just goes on and on and on.
They had a bloke on 522 times on BBC Arabic who said something along the lines of, like Hitler was right. I mean, it's ridiculous. Does Tim Davie have to go here, the Director General?
I think he will go. I think there's been a slow... a while ago, there was a kind of slow build-up. There were several stories. But what you can see here is that there's momentum.
Yeah.
There are so many serious issues coming hard on the heels of each other that I think that he will go next year.
Can I just tease ahead to what I'd like to talk about in the next segment? But we'll just do a couple of... Oh, sorry, I need to read this from the BBC. We continue to review our coverage and reflect developments on recent Supreme Court ruling. I think that's about the gender stuff. So more on the Trump issue as we go. But this is big. It's now on the front of the weekend, and Labour MPs are now openly plotting to oust Sir Keir Starmer. Front of the weekend, I'll read the details of this to you now. The newest crop of MPs met to plot in a private Commons bar. We were here until very late in the evening. Minister tells the paper. So a government minister is in this now, talking about who and how and when. The 2024 intake are growing increasingly anxious about their fate. This is it. They're worried that Keir Starmer's going to cost them their jobs. Yeah, a challenge against the PM is not imminent, but MPs are discussing the mechanics of a future coup. It's May. They're obviously going to do it after the local elections. I mean, you know, this is quite astonishing to see. What is it, 16 months after a landslide general election victory? And we're looking at a left-wing newspaper running a report stated as fact, not even in quotation marks, as fact, that they are plotting to get rid of Keir Starmer.
What's interesting, though, is how can this happen? Because the Labour Party is not like the Conservative Party. The Conservative Party has to come up with a certain number of letters of no confidence, and then, whoosh, off they go to the races to get a new leader. They've done it again and again and again. It's much harder, isn't it, for the Labour Party to actually bin the current leader and put a new one in?
I think especially given... I mean, we'll speak about this in the next segment, I'm sure, but especially given the last two internal elections for the National Executive Committee, some of those key national policy forum spaces, the constituency Labour parties, they're all basically run by pro-Starmer factions.
Sorry, how would you change the leader?
He would have to resign.
What?
Either there'd have to be a motion of no confidence by the National Executive Committee, Council, or there'd have to be mass cabinet resignations.
You could get 80 letters. That's the magic number in the Labour Party, isn't it? It's 80.
I don't think there is an internal... I mean, you just have to have resignations.
Yeah.
Well, we'll find out. I'll tell you what, that's what I'm going to be Googling during the break, which is how do you actually get rid of a Labour Prime Minister out of a general election. But look, that's big news, unquestionably big news, that Labour MPs are now plotting. The other one I want to talk about as well, and we'll come on to this now, is if you're a pensioner, or you care about pensioners, or you're aware that you're going to be a pensioner one day, you really, really, really should be worried about what Rachel Reeves is about to do to you. It's on the front of the Times, but just in time, because especially if you are a pensioner, you might need a few quid. And here's how you can get 40 grand of it with the Great British Giveaway. Any second.
We're giving you the chance to win your entire Christmas this year paid for by us. First, we'll give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash so you can have a brilliant new year. Then we'll give you a further £10,000 cash to spend on all your Christmas presents, the decorations, even the tree. Christmas lunch, that's on us too, with £1,000 in shopping vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. Finally, a GB News Christmas goodie bag. And the best news? You'll get it all in time for the big day. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 8th of December. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
All right, if you're a pensioner, remarkably, Rachel Reeves is about to clobber you again. And Labour MPs are secretly meeting, not that secret, because on the front of a national newspaper, to oust Sir Keir Starmer and find out about Prince Andrew's double life. Next.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
The Sun reports the former Duke of York has been given 3 months to move out of Royal Lodge and take his 72 teddy bears with him.
The Times also leads on the former Prince Andrew, claiming that he quit his fight to stay in Royal Lodge after losing the loyalty of his ex-wife.
Telegraph says Sir Keir Starmer was under pressure from his own MPs to remove Andrew from the royal line of succession.
And the Daily Mail claims the Prince and Princess of Wales. They're the ones who really pushed for Andrew to be ousted.
And The Guardian, it's another Andrew one, I'm afraid, talking about the six-figure sum and annual stipend that he might be getting.
Well, joining us to go through what's making the sense of this is writer and podcaster Lewis Oakley and Susan Holder, author and journalist. And let's start with the mounting pressure on Sir Keir Starmer from his own MPs to do more to remove Andrew from the royal line of succession.
Don't waste your time. At the end of the day, the country is in a mess. We've got, poverty, we've got appalling rape convictions, we've got, cost of loan crisis. Focus on the real problems. This is so speculative, and in the future, it's done. Just
what
leave
they should have done is when they got involved before, in 2013, when they did the Succession to the Crown Act, which changed you going in age, in gender order, it goes in age order, which actually doesn't make any difference to what's coming, because very cleverly, Kate had George, Charlotte, and then Louis.
Very clever of her.
But they didn't backdate it. If they'd backdated it, it would have gone to Anne, and Andrew would have been way, 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 way down. And that's what they should have done, but they didn't, and there probably was no need to. But it always works out better for us as a country, doesn't it, than when we have a queen. So actually,
yeah, we're very good with
Queen. Elizabeth I, Victoria, Elizabeth II.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk then? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, this Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
OK, everybody, we are going to delve back into the front pages, and we're just going to pick up where we left off by looking at the weekend. If you're just joining us, Labour MPs are now openly plotting to oust Sir Keir Starmer. What do you make of this, Josh?
Well, Googled it. 20% of the MPs, 46 MPs, need to do it. It's not going to happen. They would go into a direct leadership bid with Keir Starmer. He's basically got it sewn up. He is here for the full period, and it doesn't matter what happens in May. He's in it because, as you're saying, it's like they've got the NUS or whatever it's got, NEC, yeah, they've got that sewn up because they saw what the problems were with the Corbyn. They're a very efficient operation. The interesting question is why they're so scared. And where is that fear coming from? It's coming partly from reform, obviously, and it's also coming from a sectarian vote that they now know won't go with Labour and will just go with independent MPs. So a lot of MPs will lose their seats at the next election, and there's not really anything they can do about it, apart from run the country better.
I think it's very rare that a Labour leader is challenged for leadership, especially not when they're in government. You know, it happened to Jeremy Corbyn in 2016. He'd had a massive mandate from the membership of the Labour Party and the affiliated supporters, but not that much from the Parliamentary Labour Party. And in 2016, they really, the Labour right, as we call them, they're still left-wing, but they're to the Blairite, Brownite side of the party, they rushed a leadership challenge. 172 MPs signed that vote of no confidence against him, and they pushed through, Owen Smith was his name? Yeah. He was this Welsh pharmaceutical lobbyist, and he tried to stand against a socialist, and obviously that was never going to work with the membership of the Labour Party, and that failed, and Corbyn retained his leadership until he lost 2 elections.
The implication here, just reading some more of the detail on this, is that apparently people feel as though the Parliamentary Labour Party and the group around Keir Starmer are basically not particularly loyal to anything. They haven't been in politics before. They're looking at the polls and they're thinking, I'll only be here for one term. I'm certainly not going to vote for stuff I don't want to. And this is the point. I've been saying this for a while. Eventually, Labour MPs are going to rebel en masse against stuff because they're fed up of backing that guy, him then either A, you turning on it a few weeks later, or B, just doing impossible, unpopular stuff that they go door knocking. And they're just being told to jog on by everything.
So the Parliamentary Labour Party, for those that aren't familiar, because most won't be, it's a very technical term, that is every single Labour MP in the House of Commons. That's the 400 odd, I can't remember how many there are now with defections and stuff. They are all automatically members of the Parliamentary Labour Party. What is the absolute kicker for Keir Starmer right now is that his fixer, the guy that did all of his candidate selections when they were in opposition, Matt Folding, he was the director of the PLP until about 2 weeks ago. He resigned. So they currently don't have a director or a secretary of the Parliamentary Labour Party to be that kind of bumper between the Prime Minister and Number 10 and the MPs. So he's got a sort of rudderless ship almost.
So do we think Keir Starmer's going to be big enough? He's going to get an absolute kicking at the local elections in May. Do you think he's going to be big enough to resign? Do you think he's going to get so toxic for him? Or do you think he's just going to limp on?
No.
He's impervious.
Won't. Yes,
it's Teflon.
He's totally impervious to this, and he is much more ruthless than people might realise. He will hang on by his fingernails to this. So I think it's important to remember as well that I think it's definitely 400 odd. I can't remember how many it is, 425 MPs or whatever, Labour MPs. They're new, they're young. They're not battle hardened, so they frighten easily. And they're on very small majorities, a lot of them. Yeah. They really, really will not stand. They will go after the
next
election.
This is what I'd say.
I think they will just go.
If they happen to be watching GB News as they have a little drink in their bar right now, my little advice to them would be, 1, defect to reform, or B, really start going on a lot about Gaza again. That way, that's the best chance you have of keeping your seat for some people.
Strategy.
I think on a more serious note, one of the big things being discussed in the Labour Party and the wider left movement is that for those 5 years that Keir Starmer was in opposition, they were so brutally focused on campaigning, on communications, on really being fiddly to get ahead in the polls and building that strong membership base that is pro-Starmer. That they didn't really think about the ideology and the kind of real policies that they would be elected on.
They're worried about the polls. They're seeing national polls. I saw a national poll said it had Labour in 4th place. Nationally. And I get it's always just polls all that fun, but let's be honest, you're not seeing any good polling for Labour. And Keir Starmer is about as popular as Novichok. He is. People just don't like him. I find him a very creepy guy. He just gives me the shivers.
Well, you know what? I voted for Labour in the last election.
Did you?
Yeah, I made a mistake. And I did it because I believe that he is clever, he is ruthless, and I thought he was saying whatever he needed to do to control the cranks in his party. I thought he did very well, actually, with getting rid of a lot of them and the toxicity. Now they're all in green and... in your party and whatnot. But I thought he had a plan. I thought he's saying what he needs to say. I thought he had a plan, and I thought when he gets in, he's like, I'm going to really make the decisions. And then he's squandered all of this, any sort of goodwill he had on school VAT and all these things. It's silly, stupid thing. The Chagos Islands.
The biggest problem is he doesn't resonate. He doesn't. Well, there's 2 problems. He doesn't resonate with the public. and also his internal communications are really poor in the party. There is a very big gulf between him and the rest of the party, and that should close. He needs to communicate with his troops much more closely than he has.
I think that point on comms is absolutely bang on, because, you know, as someone who supports the Labour Party, I look at what they're doing at a much more detailed view than most people would. I think they're doing some amazing stuff, you know, on reforms to apprenticeships. That's going to change the lives of generations of kids that will go and be able to get good jobs. You know, reforming the Pride in Place funding. They're literally giving tens of millions of pounds to communities to decide where they spend them. You know, it's not going to be made in some shadowy hall in Westminster. These are really good stuff, but we just don't hear about it because their comms are just
stop getting AI to write his tweets because it's like renewal and this and that.
The thing is, the problem is that you can't fake personality, and he doesn't have any. He doesn't
That's
have
not
any.
true. You can, and I do.
There you go. Well, on that note, where we've got the Times' front page, which is that, I'm sorry about this, it's very bad news for pensioners or anyone who cares about pensioners or anyone who's maybe forward-thinking enough to recognise that one day you are going to be a pensioner. Reeves set to announce retirement savings raid. So Rachel Reeves will announce a stealth tax raid on retirement savings, a move that experts said would reduce take-home pay, cut the size of pension pots. Apparently, the Chancellor is expected to use the budget to limit a tax break on pension contributions for both employers and employees to raise up to £2 billion a year. Reeves has decided not to cut tax-free lump sum withdrawals amid concerns about the impact on pensioners. It means people will still be able to take out up to 25% of a pension pot, up to a maximum of £268,275. So I'll get you a bit more detail on this when we come back. But I mean, it does just seem a little bit maybe like a double-headed attack on both pensioners and aspiration, I think. But we'll come back to it. And again, more on that storm at the White House. They've gone to war with the BBC, and it turns out that Prince Andrew has been living a double life.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. Rain will continue its journey eastwards overnight tonight. A little bit colder this evening in the west, but mist and fog likely for many rural areas. We've got low pressure in charge, swinging in frontal areas, which will bring some rain through the next couple of days, particularly through this evening across central areas. After a fairly bright day, it will turn much cloudier this evening across the north and east, with some drizzly rain likely overnight. Now, it'll clear up across western areas. That could allow some mist and fog to develop, but it will also allow the temperatures to fall away a little bit lower than they have done lately, down into the single figures, particularly across the far southwest of England, Wales and parts of Northern Ireland as well. Now, where the rain is still lingering tomorrow morning across northern areas of Scotland in particular, it will be a bit of a murky start to the day, so a bit of a different feel tomorrow morning compared to today. Some mist and fog around, particularly over the hills and across coastal areas too. Further south across parts of northern England, there will be some brighter spells, but still some mist and fog first thing, and it's across the south and west parts of Wales as well, but we'll see the best of the sunshine first thing on Saturday. That's not to say there won't be sunshine elsewhere throughout the weekend. Saturday is actually looking fairly dry and bright once that cloud does lift up after first thing. So plenty of sunshine to come. The cloud will come and go, but it will still feel fairly pleasant out there as the winds are relatively light, particularly across eastern areas of the country. So temperatures climbing to around 13, 14 or 15 degrees, a little bit cooler than it has been lately, but still fairly mild for the time of year. And that could allow, with clear skies, temperatures to fall away to allow a grass frost across the east on Sunday morning. But elsewhere, the next batch of wet weather across the west will arrive through Sunday, bringing some potentially quite spells of quite heavy rain, and that will likely become a little bit more widespread through Monday and Tuesday. And although there's a risk of frost overnight for some areas, it's staying mild by day. Bye-bye.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Well, breaking right now is that the White House has officially gone to war with the BBC over, quote, purposeful dishonesty. They're saying that they are a left-wing propaganda machine. And, I mean, there's some actually really devastating quotes in the front page of the Daily Telegraph. Every time I travel to the UK with President Trump and I'm forced to watch the BBC in our hotel rooms, it ruins my day. That is from Trump's spokesperson, Caroline Lovett. Well, let's go stateside now. Ben Leo's there for us with The Late Show live. Yeah, Ben, what's the noise like on the ground? Have you got any more for us, do you think, over the course of the next 2 hours?
Yes, hopefully, Patrick. Good evening, viewers, listeners. Patrick, hopefully we'll have somebody from the White House joining us imminently tonight for midnight. But as you said, absolutely devastating quotes, not least from Press Secretary Caroline Levitt. As you said, she just said that every time she goes to the UK, she has the misfortune of being forced to watch the BBC. She did stop short, however, of getting involved in calling for the abolition of the licence fee. She said, look, that's a policy decision for President Trump. So it'll be interesting to hear from President Trump this weekend. Maybe somebody could push him on that. There's a second quote from the Deputy Press Secretary, Abigail Jackson, in the last few minutes, who says, trust in the media is at an all-time low because of deceptive editing, misleading reporting and outright lies. This is yet another example from the BBC of many highlighting why countless Americans turn to alternative media to get their news. One point that interests me about this whole saga is, of course, that the story about the Beeb editing, or the Panorama programme, editing that now infamous clip of Trump on January 6th from a few years ago, is that story came out, what was it, a week ago now? The White House since then had been mysteriously silent. On the ground in DC, amongst all the media, we've been kind of questioning ourselves as to why the White House wasn't getting involved. Why weren't they slamming the BBC for their quite obvious bias and deceptive editing? So it's taken them some days to comment about this, and they have done so tonight. I just wonder why they decided to wait so long. Did they want to maybe kind of forget about January 6th, focus on the task at hand here in America? I don't know, but the time period for them to get involved in slamming the BBC does interest me. Have you got any thoughts on that, Patrick? Any
Well, I wonder what was going on behind the scenes.
Why they do that?
I wonder whether or not they were seeking to get some internal reassurances from the likes of the BBC boss Tim Davie, or maybe a couple of other people, maybe something through a back channel about, look, I'm really sorry, actually, we're going to look into this. And if they don't feel as though that's happened, they might have thought, well, actually, well, you know what, we're going to go studs up. They also, I think, might have been watching what's happened in the last couple of days, whether things have got a gender... Can you imagine having a gender correspondent? We go live now to GB News' gender correspondent, Ben. Can you imagine? Seriously, ridiculous.
I'll do it.
Yeah. Well, it'd be a very different show than the one on the BBC. But that, you know, BBC Verify getting hammered about just that outright lie about car insurance being racist. I mean, why is BBC Verify even bothering about racist car insurance? You know, and they're seeing the BBC now being drip, drip, drip every day. And I wonder if they just thought, you know what, screw it, we're just going to go two-footed.
Yeah, and one big question I have now is a similar thing happened with President Trump suing ABC here in America to do with the 60-minute Kamala Harris interview. They sliced and spliced that interview to kind of delete her long, rambling, incoherent answers and make her appear better in the election campaign. President Trump sued ABC, initially for billions he wanted, but they eventually settled for 16 million, so still a pretty decent sum. I mean, the fact is, regardless of the money, it's principle. Will President Trump now look at suing the BBC? He's done it once before with ABC, why not with BBC? So that could be on the horizon, Patrick.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's probably the big question. Well, look, hopefully over the course of the next couple of hours, Ben, you get the latest for us from the White House, people connected to the White House. I'm sure that you will. It's a big story of the day, and we're going to be all over it. Ben Leo, thank you very, very much. That is, he's got all that and much more coming your way. For what it's worth, Boris Johnson as well has said that he's not going to be paying for the licence fee until the current boss Tim Davie goes. Let's talk about the front of the Times. Rachel Reeves is apparently going to announce a retirement savings raid. So this is different from, going after people's winter fuel payments or really doing much, I think, with things like the overtly with triple lock. This is specifically, as I understand it, I could be wrong about this, as I understand it, this is about people who set aside money for their retirement, so pension contributions by employers and people. Apparently she's going to tax that more, but you already pay tax on whatever your salary is. It's like a double tax on your salary, isn't it?
I think it's more that she's cutting not the loophole, but the point is that you can give up part of your salary towards your pension.
And it's a tax break.
Yes, a sort of tax break. So it's
and you can do that with less money now if these moves come in.
Yes, I think that's the gist of it. So it's more the people who are trying to save now for their future pensions. Yeah. I think, rather than cutting pensioners.
I think that's really immoral to jeopardise people for what they're saving for the future, when you know that the future is going to be hard, when you know that the triple lock might be removed, when you know that inflation is galloping ahead. I think to penalise people who are saving for their future is
sure. I mean, I think you're punishing you're punishing optimism, because personally, I don't think we're going to make it that long, so I'm not that bothered.
I agree.
As a society, pensions, retirement, these in 20 years' time, people won't know what retirement means.
Yeah. So this isn't actually something on pensioners. Because
future pensioners.
I suppose we're all future pensioners. To get philosophical.
It's for your retirement, isn't it?
But I'm just reading the small print on this, extremely small print out of the Times. I'm sure when you buy the newspaper, it's much larger. If you are a basic rate taxpayer earning £50,270, who puts aside 6% of your salary, you would pay £80 more in national insurance a year. That's the big reform. 80 quid.
But that's not really who she's targeting, is it, mate? It's people who earn a lot more than that.
Well, if you're earning a lot more than that, you probably should be paying a bit more.
Right, so you're already paying 45% tax.
Well, no, you're not paying 45% tax. You're paying 45% tax on the amount that you're above.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not pretend 50 grand isn't a good salary. You're doing well on 50 grand.
I'm sorry, I don't think
you know what they're doing is...
What do you mean 50 grand isn't a good salary?
You're taking the mick, mate. Mick Lynch, who I'm assuming you quite like, has been making the point that train drivers can't survive on a salary of 70 grand in London.
I think about survival, I think it's about an inflation-based pay increase. Right, but no one's saying they're not doing all right.
The next time the train drivers go on strike, mate, you're going to what? You're going to go on the picket lines and tell them they've got it easy on 50 grand.
I'm not saying they've got it easy. I'm saying they're doing all right. You're doing well if you're on 50 grand a year.
Right.
You are objectively.
This whole thing is what this is tinkering around the edges. We all know that she has to pull one of the big levers. There's no point in doing a little tweak here and a little tweak there and hoping it will make any difference at all. The other thing is, I think it's a cynical move on pensioners, because the Labour Party knows, and probably other parties as well, know that the older people aren't the voters they want to appeal to.
Quite.
Those people are all getting older and dying.
So I just want to say one thing. The thing about these little tweaks is that they add up.
Yeah, but they don't add up to enough.
No, they don't add up to enough, but they do. The squeeze has just been incessant for decades now. They just find every tiny thing that they can get from us.
Yeah.
And there is a point where we just sort of topple over under the weight.
And instead of just doing one big thing, it now means that every single one of these is a little scandal. Just do one big thing. It's also worthwhile saying, sorry, just quickly, I don't know if I might be able to bring it in very quickly, the Independence front page, they've gone off for a ridiculous angle, but the story is that Keir Starmer is going to slash 150 million quid from an aspect of our foreign aid budget. It's a contribution, apparently, to what's called the Global Fund. That allegedly goes to helping people who are at risk from getting AIDS, TB and malaria, presumably mostly in parts of Africa. The Independent's got off the line of, it's going to put 250,000 lives at risk. Well, firstly, my experience is that quite a lot of these investments tend to find their way into the hands of incredibly corrupt people in incredibly corrupt countries. The other thing is that's another thing that Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves are apparently doing, 150 million quid's worth of saving on that. I just don't think we can... I mean, with respect to the people of Africa as well, I mean, I would much rather be dealing with people who are ill here, I think.
Well, they're going to be here soon, so don't worry about it.
Well, that's it, yeah. Yeah, that's the point. No, you're absolutely right. We'd have given them 150 million quid and then just let them in anyway. Yeah.
By the way, they're still going to give 850 million quid. So they're still going to get some millions of quid.
Oh, my gosh, I didn't read to the 4th paragraph, which says exactly...
That's the mistake you always make, Patrick.
Yeah. So we're still giving 850 million quid.
Yeah, and it's also like it could kill 200... yes, of course, stopping AIDS, stopping TB, stopping malaria, these are worthy things and they will benefit the world. But at the same time, we've also got to survive.
It's like could kill 250,000 people if all of them got in one room at the same time and all got AIDS. Then that's how it would happen.
I mean, I've been at those parties and they're a lot of fun.
Well, there you go. Hey, it's not the 80s anymore. Coming up, 11 arrests, anti-Semitic chants and sectarianism before last night's Maccabi Tel Aviv Aston Villa game. Josh Harry was there. He's got the inside scoop. I'll talk to you in a sec.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
An unsettled weekend to come for central parts of the Med, although Spain and Portugal will get away with plenty of sunshine. It's going to be breezy through the Canary Islands as well as Madeira, a few showers here. Less breezy for Portugal and much of Spain, but we continue to see a strong wind through eastern parts of Spain, wrapped around a low that's going to bring some heavy rain to the Balearics, and then as that moves east, it's going to bring further wet weather to Italy as well as Greece during Sunday and into the start of next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GBNews, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
OK, so Maccabi Tel Aviv, they were playing against Aston Villa last night, and there was just rampant hooliganism outside the ground, but of course not from the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans, because they weren't there. No, it was the usual suspects, the pro-Palestine brigade, out in force. And Josh Howie is with us now. You were there last night, you're here now. How was it?
It was surreal. It was because I was surrounded by, like, it took for me to go there, like, publicly as a Jew, took hundreds of police officers to protect us. So we had to meet in a car park, like a secret point, and then the police officers, like, escorted us to the ground, about sort of 20 of us. We must have had 100, 150 police officers. It was good. I'm very great. They did a great job, and I'm very grateful they were there, because at various points along the way, it took about 5-10 minute walk, there would be, like, groups of young Asian men who would start shouting at us or start, like, coming towards us aggressively, and the police would kind of step in to sort of to stop them, to take them to the side, people shouting at us at different points along the way. And then we got put in this, like a basketball court to the side of the main ground. But frankly, it was like a penned area. I called it the Jew pen, because it was such bad optics of, like, this is what it takes to protect Jews from these Islamist mobs, is you sort of have to put them in this caged area. It was totally surreal.
But how did it feel?
It felt horrible. I didn't want to go. I was scared. My wife didn't want me to go. I was getting calls all week from people saying, look, just don't do it. It's not worth it. But
why did you go? Did you go to make a stand?
Absolutely.
Because you're not a Maccabi
I'm not a football fan. I'm not a football fan at all. I hate, you know, but I
purely to make a stand.
Purely to go. They were the reason why this was all done was to basically ban Jews from the match, from even the city. It was a show of strength from Islamists. The local authorities capitulated to them, as they have continually done. And I don't want there to be no-go zones in this country for Jews or for any ethnic group or for anybody. So that's how it starts. And of course, they just get emboldened and emboldened. And for me, it was like, I'm going to go. I saw the announcement on when I was with some friends having a drink. I was a little bit drunk, and I was like, I'm going. I don't care. Yeah. And then it sort of went a bit viral. And then I went
to a corner there.
I was like, oh no, what am I doing? I've got to go to a football match now. So I wanted to go to see the match. I would have happily supported Villa. I would have happily supported Maccabi. But as it was, we couldn't get tickets for Maccabi, even, like, for British Jews. And then I couldn't get a ticket for Villa because you had to have, like, prior, like, history of buying tickets. So in the end, I sort of ended up going there, making this little speech, kind of going, well, I'm here now, and just proving the point that it's not safe for a Jew to be here. And then I went home.
Yeah, well, good for you, man. Good for you. And I'm sorry, obviously, I had to go through all that stuff, and it just seemed a bit ridiculous, because as well, the kind of pièce de résistance for me about that was when the actual Aston Villa fans came out the stadium and started, like, singing Aston Villa songs. And the Palestine lot, they're not Aston Villa fans.
It's got nothing to do with football at all. And that was the other point. This has nothing to do with football. This is a show of strength from an Islamist mob.
Yeah. Well, there we go. I mean, look, obviously, I think, was it West Midlands Police and one of the other groups, they said, oh, we're banning it because of the safety, we're banning it for safety. It was fascinating they said that, though, because Galatasaray played against Ajax a couple of days ago and kicked off, and there were loads of arrests. Galatasaray fans were wandering around with knives, some of them. There's no calls to ban Galatasaray when they play Manchester City in January. So there
have you seen the Home Affairs Committee? They put out a letter yesterday asking the police, the West Midlands Police, and asking the council exactly why they made those decisions. And each question is essentially an accusation. It's damning. This is going to go further than this, and we'll see what happens.
All right. Look, sorry, we could talk about this for a lot longer, but we are going to go stateside. Guys, thank you, by the way. Lovely.
Thanks.
Good to see you.
Bye.
Well done.
Good to see you,
Well done.
mate.
Good to see you. Well done. Nice to see you alive after yesterday. I was worried. Yeah, we're going to just go over to America now. Ben Leo, I think he's got the inside story on a massive scoop of the day.
Yes, tonight on The Late Show Live, President Donald Trump goes to war with the BBC. They've had a hell of a week, haven't they? The Beeb, with all that's going on back home, not least suspending the presenter who believes in biological sex. Tonight, Rob Crilly from the Daily Telegraph, the journalist who broke this bombshell story in tomorrow's paper, joins me live with all the backstage details. Don't go anywhere. President Trump, will he be suing the BBC?
We could be delivering the perfect Christmas to you this year. There's £30,000 in tax-free cash to make 2026 the best year yet. A further £10,000 cash to spend on gifts for all the family. There's £1,000 to spend in your favourite supermarket. And a festively themed GB News goodie bag. And we'll get it all to you in time for the big day. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show. It's not a bad brand. Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable. What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Well, I think it's the story that will finally bring down the BBC, and not before time. Let's go straight over to the Late Show Live. Base 4 is in Washington. What a place to be with this going on at the moment. The one and only Ben Leo. Ben, it's war at the BBC and the White House.